Hi everyone, my name is Emin. For the purpose of this video, you can also refer to me as Emdac or Emdax, which is my RuneScape game name. Yes, you've read the title very well. This is going to be a reading of RuneScape poetry. I started playing the game in 2010. It's a game that I grew up on. And very recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, I came back to playing it on occasion. But I did remember that I read a lot of the lore of the game back in the day, and I was a very active PvPer in the community and a lore hound. Not very famous, but certainly active. In recent times, I decided to actually write poetry in prose, which is about this game. Today, I'm going to read 2 types of poems. The first type is general RuneScape poetry describing events, creatures, monsters, heroes, knights, etc. The second type that I'll be reading to you is actually a bigger project that I'm working on of fan fiction, which is the Epic of Gielinor, a whole couple 100 pages long epic describing the events of World Event 1 and World Event 2 and the battles between Armadyl and Bandos, Saradomin and Zamorak, adding some of my own ideas into the lore, which is canon as well. So I hope that you're going to enjoy this, and without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so this is the first poem that I will be reading today. It's called The Fall of a Kinshra Warrior. Tell me, unveiling orbs of the realm unseen, and show the sight of yon fifth age in mean, and unfolded becomes a vision most gross, where Saradomin's monk his devoted life so owes, for a strike the blades of adamant a vicious foe. There follows the trail of a frightful woe, and in her scream the sky revolves a mighty dew, for ages to hear, as the earth takes on her crimson hue, and thus she prostrates to the earth a glorious gage. As spirit and body meets in the creation sage, a lady of Zamorak her helmet unveils. She falls, so speak the tales, and Kinshran honor floods the mighty skies. And as Kara her form so mightily slew, she cries, in silent words of despair there sounds the voice. Liberty or chaos, now my soul will forever rejoice. And in her final speech the grass fields do bear, with yon flower and stone, to grant the deathly care. This is the next poem. Their Saradomin Knights. Thus stood the lanced knights in rows, deathly spears they raised in throes, whose fastened tip the woman smote. Of Araka's descent their pride does gloat, and upon the mighty midst of metalish make, the star of Saradomin did its shape so take. For in their piety they found no fear, but without its signs they did so drear. For what gave the white knights honor and all their praise? Be the crouching knights in their devoted days. This poem is called Port Sarim and the Migrating Soldiers, in the context of World Event 2. In quiet dusk the autumn began, and their foothold the soldiers stand, of male and female pair their lot, and in all the train a portion slot, for archer, mage and warrior too, as head they by the coastal port, and pay homage to Sarim's gate, befallen in grief and devoted hate. They march through Draenor off to Lam, while silent lands cloak their thoughtful hum, to depart for the banner of Emdax lead. On foot they walked with no gracious steed, cloaked in crimson, orange and darkly hue, his emissaries scattered the forces drew, and as Sarim behind in fog resides, in eyes the sight of home and ship collides, for Port Sarim branched akin a ruby so dear, in defense so stood of Asgarnia's fear. This poem's name is Demonheim Trauma. Wrath, I recall its name, as it took to my bones, while yon I see the remnants of broken homes, so forth as Saradomin his victory claims. I see again the visions of deathly pains, devouring despair enfolds my gaping lung. And in this song a raging fume be strung. O cursed are you, destroyers of beings benign, you who claim divinity yet in havoc's joy design. How terrible, the eye that on pillars hung, and how wicked did it howly wrung, and in smeared cold blood I rose for air, and broke its final chord in gapes of despair. And thus I recall, brothers in arms, the howling calm, as now I hold the seismic strength in my arm. No fear and no grief, none afflict this train. We march to Falador, where nightly the lane, where beauty doth flourish and hope is anew, where maidens are fair and sublime the townly brew. This next set of poems I call The Sorrow of Armadyl. Here's the first one. The Flag Bearer of Truth. Ask not, whose forces will be in fortitude complete, and yourself of hope do not to ends deplete, but grant the one whose banner is truth his proper due, and amass a conscious and natural crew, as so the fifth age in my heart moves on. Those of the sixth shall carry gracefully on the call of sagacity in form corporeal, while meaning and virtue are of my heart's ordeal, as thus I prompt the men of battles and lore, and those who championship and skilling bore the lands of Gielinor sing of my name. As time yon foes in afflictious pain, rejoice, rejoice, lands of sand, mountain and valleys, and raise this song in courts and ways and alleys. Here awakens Gielinor, the diamond of worlds, and life so springs in this poet's words. Now this poem is called Decadence, and it's spoken by a character I visioned and called Alathena. And as past the eastern wall Falador is risen, troops of justice are thereby driven, and to the crossing betwixt Draenor a night there cries, Blessed be he who in the name of light so dies, and lays his soul for the safety of his kin and folk, and strays not to the Bandosian cursed yoke. O heavens, her voice resounds, a womanly vocation. Bring hope through this strain, to end abomination. Grant me strength, you whose mystery I behold, and make not our struggle become untold. For if Falador thus falls and departs in earth and seas, and the Varroka finally crumbles off its ageful leaves, oh and woe if Lumbridge sinks to earthen cores, who shall live and hope by the noble lasting lores? Who shall, in yon times of the age of man so sink? What hope be raised if justice we do not bring? Hear me, O guide of Emdac and Armadyl on tower high, may victory's breath be clear and broad so nigh, to defy this menace of Bandosian wicked hordes, and to honor Falador's nobly ladies and its lords. Now a poem that describes a duel during the conflict of Armadyl and Bandos in World Event 2. The tragic martyrdom of Eleathar. Forefront the warrior brings his cutlass, yon stands his spirit and visage dauntless. No shade and no song, no intimate, no hail, can hold in howling storms a gripping sail. No, hear me, Amdacians, fair folk and godless too. Now I will step to duel, and grant the foe his due. For all fortune forbade my soul in this here war, and death shall be to my fate that justly score. Rushing forth with shield and sword to the clash, Eleathar swings and stabs and shouts mightily and rash, as there for Suma the Bandosian sword cuts his foe. Armadyl's grief. Eleathar swings in vengeance so, and in his dying breath for Suma's head he flails. Thus fall both champions whom Bandos hails, and in his death from the throne he stands, as reassess the armies both their mighty bands. Okay, and now for the ending of this video, I'm going to read a part of a couple segues from the Epic of Gielinor that I'm writing. So these are not separate poems per se, they're simply parts of that larger epic poem, which will be a couple hundred pages long, hopefully, as I write it out. It's inspired by real-life epics like the Iliad and the Odyssey and the Epic of Gilgamesh. Obviously, though, this is all in the world of Gielinor in RuneScape. So it's a RuneScape dedicated epic. So let us start. I am Kara, your truest advisor and friend, for in my heart balance of Guthix truly is blend, betwixt the godless who see no deity, and seeing the originator of Guthix with no frailty. For the green-eyed one spake and spake unto me, and shall you inquire what I heard of him? To you I plea. And so our hero amazes the assembly upon lamin trees, and silence grows as fall the autumn's colouring leaves. Kara-Meir responds as the army of the godless watch. In awe and shock does Kara gaze, and inquires further on. Speak, O hero, speak and make known your heroic song, and tell me of the lordly advice of the custodian of balance, and find not my lack of piety in hatred or malice, but even Guthix the vanquisher we oft deny. For no god is worth bowing to, that I do but cry. And in patient manner, Emdac of Kara's voice pays heed, and in all he drives a mighty voiceful deed. Emdac conveys Guthix's final instructions. Heed now, assembly, for the balancing truth's word I convey. Now your hearts shall flow in harmony and never dismay. Heed, for I am the vessel of the tears of Guthix unsung. So adjust the lute and prepare the tool to make it strung. For many ages this echo shall hear, enough these words bear. As I hope you will not abandon to what you swear, to keep the creature's honor upon the pedestal of sight, and never to allow for false gods to cover it in blight. This did the Green One say to me, in Narragain upon his leave, when Sliske his soul did with Armadyl's staff from body cleave. As I walked with him in his daughter's world destroyed, he told me of much his deed so great and bold, of the fall of Skargaroth, and of his howling demise, and of the 8,000 Naragi that passed to paradise, of the Narragun their race, and where they rest. He did so grant me their story, and a request did he behest. Be the world's guardian, and me do oft forget. Remember your only mission, of my memory be left. The hero cries and passes tears in reminiscent agony, while stands the army in silence to listen of tyranny. The Sliske, the shadowed one, upon Gielinor wrought, accursed claimant that sold his soul and hell he bought. For those of his kind there are temperance many. The Mahjarat, good and evil did they do so plenty. And now as if I recall our hero's expression of sorrow, as if upon Gielinor there was no today and no tomorrow, as if time itself froze and the sky burst with the end. Hear me those who listen, and your ear do lend. For then the hero spoke, and Kara reassured. I then Guthix saw die, and of his request approved. Sobbing tears and praying unto heaven he beckoned. To see such a sadness I never in my life have reckoned. Emdac cries for the demise of Guthix his teacher. O Guthix, rest my gracious teacher and my guide. Here I spoke for your absence to be my side. Yes, I do say, assembly, that I did forget. But of this command upon you I ought to project, that of our task is to maintain balance in earth and sea, to bring right to every man, creature and tree. So let me grant it, by speaking truth to thee. O Kara, O army of the godless, to you I truly plea, and call you forth to the words of the Green One who spoke, and all the false gods he banished, and with the sword he broke. Kara mourns Guthix, and her heart is softened for Emdac's faith. With her hand raised she stood in glory and beauty. Gather, O strong ones, gather, and this is no frailty. For I bear witness to the words of truth here spoken. The false gods will fall, and all their idols be broken. For who would worship those of a reflected humane form? Are we not in the same so raised, and in the same so born? Those who gain power must know in nature their place, and only the natural order of all things embrace. They must give to all their proper due, and not spill this blood and gleam the world in hue. For we are of no color and of no symbol, and in this day we speak in truth, and do not nimble.
That's it.